really happy to be back here hosting my second webinar Wednesday episode. I guess I did okay enough the last time that I get to do another one with you today. Really excited about today's guest and getting a chance to talk about a program that's near and dear to my heart, especially since when I first started working at ATS Lab Midwest. This was one of my first projects and first schools that I was able to work with. Most of you might know I have a pretty long background in education, whether it's paddling through 45 days with young adults through the northern Saskatchewan and Nunavut, getting my master's in urban special education at Cardinal Stritch University, teaching in Bayview High School here in Milwaukee, as well as Ideal School. Education is something that I've always been really involved with. So I love working with these different types of projects of reaching different types of students in all different career areas. So what I'm going to tell you a little bit today before we introduce our guest is just, you've heard us talk a lot about Industry 4.0. And if you haven't, we can definitely share with some resources with you. But I travel all across, our territory and in some cases across the country, talking about Industry 4.0, what it is, sharing more information, bouncing around ideas. And I want to just share a quick story. There was one school that I went to. I won't say exactly who. I would want to save face with them, but they just gave a huge presentation to their industry partners in the area that was visiting their brand new lab space. And they were cycling through the slides. This was after the presentation. They were showing it to me. And they pulled up, something like this. And I don't know what brand of robot or conveyor it was, but they told me this is how we teach Industry 4.0. And I kind of kept my mouth quiet a little bit during that time. And I really just thought to myself, robots loading material onto a conveyor, that's something that we've been doing for the last 50 plus years. So when we talk about Industry 4.0, this is something that is technically Industry 3.0, and we've been doing for a long time. So just to give a quick recap of, what is Industry 4.0 and how do we teach it to our students? This is our Industry 4.0 history slide. If you think of the first industrial revolution, that's the advent of steam, mechanization, using machines to create products. Second industrial revolution, if you think of Henry Ford's assembly line and the advent of electricity, being able to mass produce something. The third industrial revolution, which is where that previous slide kind of fits in, it's the advent of mechatronics and automation, robotics, eventually the internet coming into place. And then right now, we are currently in the fourth industrial revolution, where I like to think of it, it's really blending, manufacturing technology from the third industrial revolution with computer science, IT, data analytics, working with cyber. We're watching our story of 15,000 GM robots hooked up all across the country. And they're hooked up with these things called smart sensors that measure torque, temperature, any type of major disturbance. And those smart sensors are collecting data. They're collecting data and sending it through Ethernet communications to something we call a Cisco data collector that's being sent up to the cloud where it's analyzed by an analytic. Now, that could be a team of data scientists, that could be artificial intelligence. We can actually get to the point where one of those robots predicts a future part failure based off of the data that it collects and orders that part to be installed to avoid any downtime. And manufacturing is a big driver in this area, but it's not just manufacturing. The same technology and use of smart sensors and smart devices occurs in healthcare or agriculture, distribution, hospitality. This is something that our company's been keeping an eye on for quite some time. Our company president, Matt Kirchner, spent 23 years in manufacturing and has written about it, extensively. Several years ago, we put out an 18-page white paper on Industry 4.0 and what that technology is and what we should be teaching at each level. That same white paper was then adopted by an organization called the Milwaukee M7, so an economic engine of the 7 counties around southeast Wisconsin. They basically took that white paper and synthesized it down into a 9-page paper on how to prepare employees and young people in southeast Wisconsin for future forward technologies. But the same thing that I tell everyone when I talk to about Industry 4.0, it's not just something that Lab Midwest is telling you, or ATS Midwest is telling you. It's coming directly from our industry partners. This slide always fascinates me. This is the percentage of retail, manufacturing, and logistics professionals who are currently investing in the following. And you can see all of this same technology of warehouse automation, predictive analytics, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, blockchain, autonomous vehicles, machine learning. And then 61% of professionals expect capacity requirements to increase over the next year. So this is even before COVID with this boom in supply chain logistics and automation. And then when we work with certification bodies, you know, that's, again, we're pulling competencies directly from all of these different industry partners who are helping us define what should a learner, what skills should a learner have as they're learning Industry 4.0 technology and preparing careers for the future. So again, I reiterate, this is something that, you know, every company is trying to figure out between 3.0 and 4.0. How do we get people ready for these future careers? And then usually when I show this slide, an educator will look at this and they say, yes, I want to teach that. I want to teach this really advanced high-tech automation data analytics system. And really what I often tell everyone that I talk to in K-12 education and beyond, don't stop doing what you're doing. This system does not work without base manufacturing technology like CNC, basic robotics, AC/DC electrical, even just basic precision measurement and simple sensors. If we can start incorporating any type of smart sensors and smart devices, that's even better. Control systems, anything controlled by a computer, whether it's programmable logic controllers or computer numerical controls or more advanced robot programming. And then we start kind of tying in the computer science IT side, connectivity and networking, data security and network security are huge fields right now. And then of course, where Industry 4.0 really comes into play is data analytics, being able to take the data that we collect and determine what's useful to me now, what's useful to me 6 months from now, what's useful to me a year from now, and make informed decisions about our process. And again, when I look at the Industry 4.0 building blocks, and we actually look at these first four, industrial success skills, industrial equipment and technology, even not just smart sensors, but any type of sensor and control systems, most solid CTE programs do a pretty great version of teaching the base manufacturing technology needed in Industry 4.0. And what I'm really excited about for our guest today is that we're starting to see programs tie in more of the computer science and IT, connectivity and networking, and then incorporating more data analytics into their programming. Where a student that's going into welding, yeah, they might be seeing more network servers or smart sensors or IO links. And then students who are, you know, really interested in numbers and like working with math and science, if they want to get into this Industry 4.0 field and they don't understand how a welder works or how a CNC machine works, that data isn't really going to mean anything to them. So that brings us to our guest today is we have Dale Engman with us. Dale Engman is an instructor, a CTE instructor at Intermediate School District 917 in Rosemount, Minnesota. And I think he just brings a great wealth of experience to really being able to tie those two worlds together of base manufacturing technology, as well as our future forward data analytics, computer science, and IT. So Dale spent 22 years in education. He is skilled in mechatronics and working with computer repair, networking, secondary education. He actually has 2 masters, so even more than me, in educational administration and supervision, and a master's in instructional design from California State University, San Bernardino. So Dale, welcome, and thank you for being on with us today.
Thanks for having me, you guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's good to be here.
Awesome. So in thinking about Dale's program, first thing I want to ask is, you know, can you tell us a little bit more about ISD 917 and who your learners are?
Okay, so depending on who's all in the audience, we're in Minnesota. We're in the Twin Cities metro area, and we service what is called Dakota County. We have 3 major counties in the area, and we're an intermediate district that services 9 member districts. So I would almost call it like a co-op. And we have CTE programs here besides what I offer. We have nursing, cooking, auto body, heavy duty truck, auto, careers, graphics, computers, you name it. And if you don't have those programs at your high school, or you might have a smaller version and can't afford all the equipment, we're kind of your vehicle for more training. So we're based out of Dakota County Technical College. And like I said, we get 9 member districts, and pretty much you can either drive out here, bus out here, and attend classes with us. We have longer periods that are about 100 minutes each. So we teach 3 times a day to those various groups of kids from all over the metro area or Dakota County. Also, we service special ed populations for Dakota County, and we also have an alternative learning center. So we kind of get a whole pocket of kids across Dakota County.
Awesome. Yeah, and I love that. I have a spec ed background, and really when you think about all the different career opportunities for students of our high flyers or students with learning disabilities, I mean, it's great that you're able to service all those different skill levels. So,
Mike, one more thing, Mike, sorry. We also service, it's a transitioning and also special ed. So we also service up to 21 years old.
Yeah, which is a huge topic these days, especially now with these academic and career planning initiatives and thinking about what's happening after high school.
Right.
That's tremendous. So, you know, for you personally, Dale, what are the courses that you usually teach at ISD 917?
So currently I teach computer repair, which is pretty much geared towards the A+ certification for folks out there. Networking, which is right now geared towards the Networking Plus certification. We've added cybersecurity, which is going for the Security Plus certification. I do coding and programming using a programming system. We also teach video game design in my room, which is 2D gaming, 3D gaming, 3D gaming, 3D animation, 3D modeling, 3D printing, and coding and programming in that. And those are my core classes I teach. And then going on to this one, which is probably getting in our next question as well, is I also was trained with Lynn, who's pictured on the right there. I'm on the left. We went through the training for the mechatronics. We call it the 4.0. I guess it was about 2-3 years ago. And Lynn got her CTE license and was able to take on that class fully and implement just what we're talking about today. And unfortunately, she retired last Friday. And fortunate for me, I get it back. So I'll be teaching these classes that we're kind of talking about right now moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about great advocates for, you know, your students and for future forward programs, and Dale, you and Lynn have really been, you know, pioneers throughout the Midwest and especially in Minnesota. So, I mean, in kind of building off of that, why teach Industry 4.0? What kind of made you go down this path?
All right, so a big thing, since we're intermediate district, what we do here at 917 is we're always reaching out. We have advisory boards that help guide and navigate our programs for either change or sustainability for jobs and careers within the metro area. And I know Milwaukee, we've been there and they got huge jobs and huge growth for this, but we may or may not send kids all the way over to Milwaukee or across the country. A lot of kids will stay local, like a lot of the school districts that are probably joining us. So we're always looking for industry potentiality for kids straight out of high school, a 2-year program, a 4-year program, or post-military. And a lot of our partners came to us and asked us about it. And a lot of our school board and school boards from the other 9 districts started talking about automation, manufacturing, the big CTE push that's been going on for quite some time, and how we should add and implement something to that nature. So it turned us on to would be Lab Midwest or ATS Lab Midwest. And we were able to connect, tour all sorts of programs over in Wisconsin and kind of start creating our own program here.
Yeah, I have to say, you definitely, you know, when I work with a lot of different CTE programs, you definitely had some great support from your administrators and within your Perkins consortium who are really looking at the future needs of your students. So, and I think that type of level of collaboration and support within your district really was apparent early on. So year one, how did things get started? How did it go?
All right, so we started out, like I said, we did a probably a half a year to a year, maybe even a little more of research, just kind of like we said, touring around different programs out across would be Wisconsin. And then we went through the training programs that was offered by you guys over in Milwaukee, outside of there at the school. So Lynn and I drove down and spent some time training there, and then doing more touring. And then halfway through that first year, we threw together a pilot, which was a picture I think on a slide or two ago, where we just took whatever we had with my networking skills, my computer kids, my gaming kids, and then we also have graphics, and we just kind of reached out and with our ALC kids just saying, hey, anybody interested in testing this out while we kind of learn, is this feasible to implement at our school? So pretty much it was about a half-year program with kids kind of picked or interested in this after hearing about kind of like what we're talking about today. Hey, that's kind of interesting for me. And we put together a group of kids and piloted the program.
Yeah, and I want all of our audience members to remember something for me quick, and it ties back into Dale's background and what he just said in answering this question. I mean, he has a background that's pretty diverse in terms of the computer networking, IT, working within that, graphics field as well, and game design. Remember that's going to come into play later on in this presentation.
And then while we're here, I'll interrupt too. I had no clue what this stuff was. None whatsoever. And the only thing I thought of was how cool and hands-on it was compared to some of my networking and computer stuff. I'm like, I think we can make this work. And Lynn said the same thing. She's a math teacher, computer programmer. She's not on the call since she's retired. And she kind of said the same thing. I have no clue what they're talking about, but people want this in our area. Let's try to figure it out.
Well, and what I love too, Dale, is, you were able to start a pretty comprehensive program with, one piece of equipment and some curriculum provided by us, but then you can see in a lot of these photos, utilizing the tools and resources that you already have and just kind of framing it a little bit differently. It can be very accessible to new and different programs, being able to access Industry 4.0 technology and competencies. So the other thing I love about your program, Dale, is, again, this is kind of near and dear to my time as a special education teacher and teaching at a school that focused on individualized and developmental educational approaches to learning, hence IDEAL. But tell me a little bit more about how you personalize or, lay out this competency-based education as you're pulling in students from all these different districts within your region.
And it's even gotten better or worse, if you want to call it, with the pandemic. So like the pictures of the students in here, these are from kids from all over different districts. They have different stop times, like the kids in these top left corner, right corner there, they're all coming in, even though they're my third shift kids, with busing. And being in the Midwest, we have snow. Sometimes they come half an hour late. Sometimes they miss because of busing. And then throw COVID in there, we're doing distance learning. So we've pretty much had to go and pick each kid and kind of have an individualized plan with that. And the Learn Amatrol web training system has been fantastic that way, because we can have kids on the digital or distance learning days, virtual days, whatever we call them, wherever you guys are, doing some of the activities and stuff. And then when they can physically come here, we can do the labs and activities, and then specifically target the kids with their needs. Some of my kids were in gaming, and they're literally a gaming student, but we have curriculum going on all the time in the room, so I have to just manage all of it. And they'll see somebody working at something and go, I think I'm kind of interested in that. Can I give it a try? And we grade differently out here than maybe a lot of other schools, since we get that freedom. We grade 3-week cycles, we call them mods. So every 3 weeks we can start and stop something kind of new. Some kids are quarter semester kids, some are trimester, some are semester only, trimester 1, trimester 2. Some are year 1, year 2, year 3 kids, depending on the programs that they're in. So pretty much we can dial in and find something that works for each kid and put them on a path to hopefully give them success.
Yeah, absolutely. And the even in the COVID era, we just see this huge shift to more individualized learning and, show me what you know, rather than, how many years do you have under your belt or how many degrees you have. So
the guy in the bottom left corner was going to go into the military. So he was looking at kind of, which would be kind of heavy duty truck and stuff, but we talked him into this mechatronics program so he could learn more to be more marketable in the military besides getting thrown into something basic. So
yeah, absolutely. That ties in, you know, especially with that post-secondary path. What happens after high school? I mean, how have your industry partners been involved with this new program?
all right, so we, like I said, we have advisory boards. We meet a couple times a year, and then we get partners from across the area, business, alumni, it's alumni, parents, local regular students, also our other core programs. So we've created a joint advisory board where we've actually been able to pull a pretty big advisory board, and just we ask them, what do you need? What are you looking for? How can we go into Jeremy McGuire, help me help you, and then help you help us? And we've taken that information and thrown it into bits and pieces of some of these programs into some of our other programs that might not be specifically teaching the straight curriculum here, but I can tap into the guy in the middle, the heavy duty truck guy who knows way more about pneumatics and fluid power and some of the electrical stuff than I do, and have him help me teach lessons. So it's not just industry partners, it's also my coworkers that have been able to really help us do well with that.
Well, and what a great opportunity for students who are learning this, you know, this core curriculum to see different applications of, you know, the same technology that they're using in their lab, but, you know, in the automotive departments, or going out to some of your industry partners like Post in the area that are huge automated systems that are doing more and more with data analytics. That's really what it's all about, skilling up and then being able to apply it elsewhere.
We do have, and we have a work-based program. So that instructor's been able to take some of our kids to those partners and tour the facilities and kind of look for those needs, and also hopefully help with some job recruiting too. So.
Yeah. All right, audience, remember when I told you to emphasize or just remember Dale's background. Dale, what does the future hold for your Industry 4.0 program now that you're getting to take the reins over again?
Well, like I said, I was trained a couple of years ago on it. We did the pilot, helped Lynn create the course. Now I'm getting it back. So pretty much, you know, I've been through the couple courses with you guys, and now we're back in going full bore with myself and potentially a new instructor coming up down the tube. So for us, we have a full, instead of a pilot based off of my program, we have a full roster of kids that are coming out and continuing to push that here and get kids signed up. So the future's pretty good, I think, for us here, and we've continued to add equipment over the last couple of years thanks to our industry partners. We've also have the Rotary clubs and Perkins money, and so we've had creative ways to hunt down equipment, and also our industry folks able to donate some of their stuff that they might deem not usable or retirable, and give it to us. So that's been fantastic. So the one big thing is the picture on the left, where we'll be getting remodeled either here spring break or this summer. So we'll have a bigger, more accessible space to socially distance, and also put in some pretty cool equipment or give them good lab space.
And you're going to be tying in more of your kind of blending some more of your computer science courses with
yes,
this as well, right?
So yeah, and actually going my networking, my computer. The nice thing is now I can take pieces. There's great stuff in the Learn Amatrol about networking. I can take and snip out some of my stuff from my curriculum that I use the networking stuff there. The electronics. I mean, there's so much I can do with each of these pieces that gives my kids the hands-on experience versus just digital, and hopefully have success. If they don't go this route, they have networking. If they don't have networking, they go this route. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity to, build off of your strengths, and you don't necessarily need to be a content expert in all of this, but you can create a customized pathway for your students.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. And like we said, we're getting new kids from time to time, so they kind of jump in from time to time, and we can come up with a path for them based on the huge curriculum that's available with this program and target it for the time that they're going to be here.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Dale. I'm sure we had some good questions coming in from the audience. Especially they want to probably learn from you more about everything that you're doing over at ISD 917. So Melissa, do we have any questions coming in from the group?
Yes, thanks, Mike. And a reminder to our audience, go ahead and throw those into that Q&A box. Dale, no surprise that we got this question. Tell us about how you got funding to get this program started.
Yeah, I touched on it a little bit earlier, but pretty much at first it was the free trainings and the tours of going out and just finding stuff, and then getting the summer trainings through you all. Funded that originally was funded through our district with just kind of the pilot piece. We have Perkins funding here, which most CTE programs have. So that's our biggest source of funding. And then our Rotary Club, we have a South St. Paul Rotary Club donated a couple pieces of equipment to us. Some businesses pitched in together and helped us offset the cost or pay for some of the equipment. I mean, Lynn's room, since she's been teaching this class in the last year and a half or so, has grown way more with equipment through Perkins funding, the Rotary Club's businesses, and then she chased down grants from time to time and just wrote grants to get some of the pieces of equipment. So, and creative funding probably too by my administrator, who's been hugely supportive, and our school board, who's been hugely supportive. And if we have, they call it budget dust in the business department sometimes, which is a very rare word, but if there's any leftover money at the end of the year, the first phone call they do is call us and say, hey, we got this much money, what do you need? We're gonna offer to you guys to help grow this program before offering it up to everybody else. So that's been quite helpful.
Great, thanks. Next question. Tell us about how your computer science or graphics or game design students have responded to getting to learn some of this Industry 4.0 stuff.
Great, actually, the biggest sales pitch for us is, do you like solving problems or tinkering with things? And I mean, the biggest piece is, do you like solving problems? And there's so much variety with this program that you can find something that the kids get hooked into. And usually, I mean, we have a FANUC. Luckily, the college had one and it was sitting around, and I stole it for a couple weeks once, and we fired the guy up. And that's, I mean, that and the skill boss that we got, they see it and they're like, I want to learn more about this. And it's hit or miss, just kind of depending on the kid's personality. But, we haven't forced a single kid into it. They just see it and go, wow. So having the multiple classes that we teach, they see somebody else doing it, and then they go, I want to do that. It also kind of helps that the video game industry, it's kind of hard to break into with all those big giant companies. So a lot of kids will see this and go, oh, I can do that, and I can play video games in the evening, and I can make
yeah, there you go.
The other thing too is knowing that you can get those certifications just out of high school, yeah, and go and get hired almost immediately in the metro area is a huge sales pitch. And I always say, if I could get in the hot tub time machine and go back, and somebody would say, instead of me getting my 2 master's degree, which I'll be paying off until I got a foot in the grave, you can graduate high school with no debt and probably end up making more and probably a better living than financially. If you do things right, you'll probably do better than I have done financially in my life, even though I teach the stuff.
Right.
It's a good sales pitch that way for my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So one last question. I know you touched on it several times. You mentioned that you had no background or experience on any of this stuff. How does a computer science teacher become familiar and confident enough to teach mechatronics in Industry 4.0?
Well, I mean, if you're a teacher out there, most of us are learners by nature. That's usually one of our top 5 skills. And you've had to learn everything that you had to learn to teach, even if it's English. I fell into computer science. I happened to be good at it just with some background internship jobs that I had in the past. I mean, originally I was a science and math teacher. I didn't cover that at the beginning. I was teaching middle school science and math in California. The computer guy got tired of teaching computers and says, does anybody else want to do this? So I fell into technology that way. And just, if you like solving problems, if you like learning, I mean, it was fantastic. And the training programs that they put on are just great. I mean, I walked into the Milwaukee thing knowing nothing. And after the first day, I was more scared actually from all the learning I did that I thought I knew even less from it. But by the end of the week, you know, I was doing so much stuff that I've never done before. So, you know, the virtual learning, the hands-on learning, and then just that, hey, I can give this a try. And you throw a couple teachers together in those trainings like we had. And, you know, some of us were a little more experienced in electricity. Some of us weren't. And, you know, when you work together and the collaboration with all the teachers from those trainings, just emailing back and forth, calling on the phone. Now we can do the Zooms and the chats. I mean, it just kind of, you just kind of pick it up, I guess, as you go. But the biggest thing is if you're a learner and interested in things, it's not boring. It's not dull. I'll tell you that.
I'll build off of that, Dale. We're actually in the middle of an Industry 4.0 PD program right now. So if we are making it available to anyone to sign up to participate virtually, it's a 12-week program. We just started this week and we're still accepting folks in, even if they just want to learn more about, you know, what Industry 4.0 is, how can we teach it, get some ideas. You'll notice there's a cost here, but if we do have, you know, 100% participation in the sessions that you make, we'll waive that fee to all of our folks at the end. And one last little bit of incentive is we're offering the option for all participants in the PD program to not only satisfy their professional development requirements, but also earn an industry recognized certification for free if you choose to go that route. So if you're interested, please check out our website at labmidwest.com/training. We're definitely looking for some more folks to participate and keep on learning.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Dale, for being on our webinar today. And thank you, everyone, to our attendees for spending some time with us this afternoon talking about Industry 4.0. Just a quick plug for our next few weeks of webinars. So next week, we're talking about how to teach artificial intelligence, which is another one of those buzzwords like Industry 4.0, where everyone knows it's important, everyone knows it's coming, but not everyone has a good handle of how you go about actually teaching it in a classroom application setting. So that will be a really important one. And then the week after that, we're talking about how to turn your region into a tech hub. So we have just an incredible guest from an organization here in Milwaukee that's building and attracting technology companies and technology talent into the region to make Milwaukee the next tech hub. So we'd love to see you on those, labmidwest.com/webinars. Until then, have a great rest of your week, and thanks for spending some time with us this afternoon.